So, what's up? What's up, everybody? You might be asking yourselves a question once in a while, especially because of this India series of what religious path or what spiritual path do you belong to? Let's get back to that in a moment. So, it is a valid question. It's a very valid question. And I'm going to give you an answer, but I'm going to tell you the story of my life in terms of religion and spirituality. Well, you know, whatever. Uh-oh, Bandar's on the prowl, monkeys on the prowl, and whoa, a whole bunch of them, 10 of them, and they might come swooping down for my camera. If you haven't seen those videos yet, check them out. The one about Vrindavan is just mental shock therapy. It's like previous to this one or two videos. So I was born into a Roman Catholic family. There goes Hanuman, and there goes Ganesh, and there goes a dog sleeping. Ganesh. So my mom, Gloria Stella, who passed away last year in 2023, I was living with her for like 20 months. During her illness, I asked her if she wanted me to stay with her, thinking I thought she was going to recover from a fractured shoulder she had. But then because she was the diabetes type 2 and she didn't take care of it, it got worse when I was there, and I didn't really know how she was managing it because I hadn't lived with my mother since I was 19. I'm 51 now. And yeah, she was a Roman Catholic, born and raised a Roman Catholic in Colombia, South America. My father is also a Roman Catholic, or he was born and raised a Roman Catholic, but they were not strong rooted or deep rooted into Roman Catholicism by their families. That's why my brother and I, growing up, we didn't really have that whole experience of going to church every Sunday and reading the Bible at night and whatever, and saying our prayers and doing a first communion and a confirmation and all that. We were only baptized, and that's only because when we went to Colombia on vacation, on the first vacation, when I was 2.5 years old and my brother was 6 months old, because we were born and raised in the US of A, in the United States of America. America, for all you Indians who are watching this, because Indians call the United States just America, but for us in the Americas we call it the United States. So we'll get back to that in a moment. That right there across the street is Prem Mandir. That's like a Radha Krishna Leela theme park. Well, video about that is on another channel, not on this one. Oh no, it's on this one too, because this is for 2 channels. But anyhow, whatever, let's keep walking. So yeah, we were baptized and that was it, and that's all. And when I was 14 years old, I'm wearing this thing because I don't want to wear a hat. This protects my face more from the sun. It's March 1st here, 2024, and it's starting to heat up here in Vrindavan a little bit. Today's going up to about 81 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's warming up everything, and it's also making the stinky stuff stinkier. So yeah, at the age of 14, because I had some big emotional trauma, psychological trauma in my life, affected me very deeply. I decided to become an atheist or a nihilist or whatever you want to call it, and I decided nope, no more believing in this. There's nothing to this. This all sucks. There's probably nothing after this. It's the end of the game when you die, period. And so I was an atheist for many years, into my 20s. Yeah, all the way into my 20s. I was an atheist all the way through. All my 20s as well, from the age of 14. So yeah, I'm wearing this because of the sun and it burns my face. I'm not using any sunscreen today. I didn't want to put it on because I bought some kind of sunscreen that just makes my face look whiter than it actually is. Kind of like a Ghost Recon story. So yeah, so I was basically an atheist, but there was always something during that atheistic period, that period of being an atheist, inside of me deep down, where there's always like that inner voice, like saying, like, hey, I'm here. But I wasn't paying attention to it. I was drowning it out because I was so dismayed, disgruntled, absolutely devastated with the way I had seen life. It was just my perspective. So yeah, and then yeah, beat to you. Then what? Then what? I'm gonna turn back over here. So yeah, so I was just living life. I didn't care about what I was doing. I didn't care about the consequences, results, you know, in terms of karma, action, reaction, because karma basically means action. And for every action, there's a reaction, whether it be now or down the road or later. Some things don't happen immediately. For example, you start drinking a lot of liquor and you don't eat well, you don't feed yourself well. You're not gonna feel the effects immediately, but over time, and because you're drinking so much liquor, you know, you might get cirrhosis or you get some other problem. Or even with liquor, you drink and you don't feel the effect immediately, but maybe 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, depending on how much liquor you take in, you start feeling, you know, tipsy, buzzed, or you get drunk. So, or sometimes something like you take a knife and you cut yourself, the action is immediate. The reaction, I mean, is immediate. So I didn't care about what reactions I was going to be getting from living, let's say, misguided life. I was an atheist. What did I care? They didn't believe in, or they didn't follow any doctrines or any philosophies of any kind in terms of spirituality or religion. Basically, I didn't. So then I had a girlfriend and we broke up after 9 months, but that didn't bother me. I just cared less. And then I had my second girlfriend, who I really dove into deeply in terms of love and everything, and put all my eggs in this one basket, meaning the life that she and I were planning together to have, and the children and all. And after 4 years and some change, we finally broke up, and I was devastated. I was crushed. I was shredded into a million pieces in a paper shredder. And that was around the time when I was about 32 years old, or 31, something, I don't remember exactly. And I remember I went through a deep, really deep crisis emotionally, more than being an atheist, and for like 3 years. And when I hit 33, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like Christ. Christ was crucified on the cross at 33. He died, and then he resurrected the next day or a couple of days later, whatever it was. And so I said, okay, maybe that'll happen to me, but in a different way. I'm not gonna get crucified and all of that. But I felt like my life was a living crucifixion because of all the problems. I'm not gonna get into all of them. I'm just giving you like the tip of the iceberg, a couple little things. And so I decided to start when I passed through 33, when I turned 33, and I saw that I felt like a little itsy bitsy spiritual awakening, itsy bitsy spider, like twinkle twinkle little star, I wonder where you are tonight. Like twinkle twinkle little star, like a little twinkle. So I said, okay, and something in my soul or whatever, my body, my spirit, like that inner voice, that inner guru said, hey, start looking at start looking at the teachings of Jesus Christ. So I started to do research during the early days of the internet, when the internet just started getting, you know, popular, like in 2003, 2004, when it just started really taking off the ground. And I was gonna get noisy around here. Yeah, a little noisy. So I'll get back to you in a moment. Okay, we're back in black. No, I mean in orange, saffron, whatever. It's a nice warming up. It's like 11 a.m. or 11:15. So yeah, I started studying the teachings of Jesus Christ. You know, researching the information online, and I liked what I was reading, most of it. And I started to, you know, put them into practice. I can't remember for my life right now what they are anymore, but they were crucial or pivotal at that time of my life. And so, you know, I started walking that path. I didn't become a born-again Christian or whatever, or going to Christian congregations or any of that, because I really didn't like going to churches. I really didn't like to do that, even when I was a kid. And so, yeah. And then I kept going on like that, and then a few years later, you know, I go to the States. I go back to the United States. I was living in Colombia, or I have been living in Colombia for most of my life as an adult, and all of that. So what happens is that I started exploring a little bit of Buddhism before I went back to the States in 2010. Start thinking about meditation and all of that, and breathing, but I didn't know anything, basically. I just started doing a little research about the last Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, or Gautama Siddhartha, whatever, whichever way it is, I don't remember. That's not the important thing. I'm just telling you the story. This is not about the Buddha. This is just about me, my life, letting you guys know who this guy is in front of the camera, behind the camera. So yeah, I did some research on the internet. I had never watched any documentary about the Buddha or any movie, and then I started looking for those documentaries and spiritual movies, and I saw a couple. So yeah, I went into that, and I started to work on the breathing, the pranayams, at least the ones that I learned at that time, and a little bit about the Buddha and his life and all that. And I was intrigued, interested, sparked my interest. It sparked my interest. So I started doing that in the forest near the country house where I was paying rent in Colombia, in the area called Llano Grande, near Medellin, about an hour away. And I would go to this little secluded area with my 3 four-legged canine children, Cirillo, Sparky, and Titan. And I started to have a deeper awakening, or a bigger awakening, spiritually speaking. So that was that. I go to the US, and before I go to the US, one of my co-workers, English teaching co-workers, back in 2009, he gives me the Bhagavad Gita. So mind you, I was not a Buddhist. I didn't become a Buddhist. I was just taking what I needed and leaving aside what I didn't need, just like I did with Christianity. And so I started reading the Bhagavad Gita before I went to the US, to live in the US for 2 years. And then I kept reading the Bhagavad Gita in the US, and I had some Indian co-workers at Domino's Pizza in Roselle, New Jersey. I worked for Domino's Pizza corporate, not the franchise part, but the corporate part in Roselle, New Jersey. And I told them, when I knew they were from India and I knew the Bhagavad Gita was from India, I said, hey man, I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. And some of my co-workers, I had like 5 of them, and 2 of them said, oh Eddie, man, you're doing well. Keep reading the Bhagavad Gita. That is topmost, one of the topmost books in India. I'm like, okay. I didn't know what the hell they were really referring to. So yeah, and I had a lot of contact with Indians in Jersey for 2 years, and a couple of them invited me to their ashrams there, where they congregated to do chanting and whatever, in whatever form they were following of Hinduism. But I was never really interested. I had a little interest, but I was like, nah, I don't want to be part of any of those things. I don't want to be part of any sect or whatever, because that's how I saw things in general. Still do, basically. So I came back to I went back to Colombia. I'm now here in India, of course, if you haven't noticed by now. So I go back to Colombia in 2012, and in the following year, 2013, mid-year, around July, June, I meet the Hare Krishnas, the Bhakti Yogis. And because I'm doing yoga at their yoga school. I'm taking yoga classes with other people because I wanted to do hot yoga in order to keep my body more flexible and everything, and help me out more with my meditation, as I knew that hot yoga can help with meditation. And so my yoga instructor, the yoga teacher, at the end of each class, he would read a part of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter whatever, verse whatever, and explain it at the end of the yoga session. Most people would leave when that would start happening, but I would stay because I had so many questions, so many doubts about the Bhagavad Gita. And he would explain whatever question I had very well. And one day, after maybe 2 months of this, he asked me if I wanted to if I wanted to take initiation and all of that. Haribol, Radhe Radhe. And I said, what? Initiation Guru? What the heck is that all about? So I did the research and everything, and I found out what it was about, but I was skeptical. But something kept on like telling me, hey, go ahead, try it. Something inside. And so I did it. I took initiation. I was skeptical about it. But when I met my guru the day I met him at the airport in Colombia, Medellin, all let's say doubt was dispelled, burnt up. I felt his energy so strongly, so radiant. I had never felt that coming from a woman, much less a man. And I decided, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Let me give him a little money. He's a sadhu or something like that, so I do that, just a little something. Radhe Radhe Ji.
भगवान का भक्ति मिले आपको वृंदावन में, भगवान का भक्ति राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe. So I'll get back to this in a moment. Now I like coming to this ISKCON Vrindavan temple called Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Mandir temple, because they play the Mahamantra live there, and it's quiet, peaceful. It's a refuge, a shelter from the noise outside here in Vrindavan. So much noise outside, so much craziness, chaoticness, disregard by people for other people and for animals' well-being. There's people on their motorbikes going so fast, a lot of them, and almost hitting people, probably hitting people at some points, because I've seen a few accidents already, and it's just very disturbing, those things that I've seen here in India, especially here in Vrindavan. And cars, people just driving very fast, not caring for human life or animal life. A lot of people, this applies to a lot of people, but anyway, that's something that I've done in another video. But I like coming to this temple. I haven't, at Prem Mandir, they don't have this kind of situation at Prem Mandir. And I have seen 2 other temples that I've walked by, or 3, but I don't really see that atmosphere like you have it here. You know, I'm not promoting ISKCON or saying, yeah, join ISKCON, nothing. I was part of ISKCON before, a spin-off at least, or whatever, a splinter cell. And I'll explain that in a moment, but it's just like a lot of fanaticism and insular kind of ways. But anyhow, so I took initiation and I became a Brahmin, a Pujari, a devotee of the Radha Krishna following. But then being in that, and being a Pujari and all of that, being behind the scenes, I started to see things that that were not going well with me, that didn't sit well with me, that I didn't agree with, and all of that, and things that I saw in other religions, at least by people, some people being fanatical, saying that this is the only true way and everything else is false, condemning all other ways of approaching, you know, the source, the universe, God, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. And I started to dislike that, and there was just always my spiritual brothers and sisters in Colombia, some of them, not all of them, some of them, the ones that were in the hierarchy, some of them were always like, you know, condemning the other paths, saying this is the only way, and I really didn't like that. And finally, after 4.5 years or 5 years of being in it, I left. I got out with some help. Now, please understand me well. There are very nice people, very kind people in all walks of life, in all faiths, religions, spiritual paths. I have met many along the way: Roman Catholics, Christians, Baptists, Buddhists, Hare Krishnas, whatever you want to call it, this and that, Muslims, all. I have met some that are very nice people, and never an inch or an ounce of anonymity, like causing one to be angry towards other people who are not following the same way. Very open. But then there are those people who are very fanatical and just say ours is the only way and everybody else is an infidel, and I don't like that. So today, concluding the question to the answer, the question that you guys have, my answer is I follow no religion, no path. I am a lone ranger. I take what I need, I leave what I don't, what I see is detrimental to me and to others. We're all one, part of the same source, part of the same one, whatever name you want to give it. So I believe in nothing, but I follow, I see, and that's it. So I want to be clear. I became very fanatical. I had never been a fanatic in my life, but I became a fanatic when I became a Hare Krishna, like about 6 months or a year into it, because I let myself be mentally, you know, I let myself be brainwashed and all that. What's up? And I let it happen. I went along with it for whatever reasons. I don't remember exactly anymore now, but I did think, oh, monkeys on the prowl and they're looking to steal something from somebody. Let me put this away for a moment, or I'll have to fight them off. You cannot have the camera. I'm talking about my way of life. Yeah, well, they'll come up on you anyhow. And I remember disturbing people's peace. And I was one that, before I became fanatical, I was one that used to like always think, and I'm back to that now, like don't bother anybody. Let people walk their own path, whatever path they choose, however they want to see God, believe in God, not believe in God, the way they want to worship God, as a tree, as a monkey, as a woman, as a man, as this form of a man, as that form of a man, as a superhuman or whatever. And then I became a fanatical. I became that which I most disliked. One of the things I most disliked in life, being a fanatic, trying to get people to follow my way, and I didn't like that. And I became one. So, but there was always that inner voice telling me, don't disturb people, don't bother. But I kept on going with it, and I got out, but with help, because I was so brainwashed into this and that I thought it was a sin for me to leave my guru's path, my guru's shelter, and Vaishnavas, because, you know, the Hare Krishnas, because a lot of these, let's say, religious organizations, there are some people in them, or whatever, spiritual paths, that they believe their way is the only way, and they condemn the rest. And it's in you see it at some level, highest or lowest levels, in any organization in general. I'm not saying all of them. So anyway, I left. That's it. And I thank God and whatever, because I came on, India came onto my radar for the spiritual purposes, and I'm not a part of any person, any organization, any religion, any sect, nothing anymore. And I like going to some of these temples because I can feel peace, like there at the ISKCON temple here in Vrindavan. And if I find another couple here in Vrindavan before I leave, I'll go there to meditate, to listen to the mantras being sung if they let me go inside, and that's it. So that's my life. And it shouldn't be in life that you should be condemning other people for the way they want to see or feel God, worship God in the form they want to, or no form. Shouldn't be like that, but this is the material world we live in. And that's it. Until next time. And The intention here was not to offend anybody, just to tell my story. I'm the Lone Ranger. Part of no religious path, no spiritual path, nothing. But I do participate in some kirtans and whatever. I like being part of those things because the spiritual energy in those places is nice. But doctrines and whatever aside, I like that. I like that part. And I like India. But honestly, I don't like Vrindavan. I have to be honest with you. The spiritual part is good in a couple of places, but there's just too much chaos out here in Vrindavan. And that's it. That's just me. Oh, and I want to throw this in. I mean, in a lot of these things, when you leave the path, when you leave the religion, like whatever some people call you, fallen angel, fallen whatever. I know the Hare Krishnas in Colombia, they would say, he fell or she fell, like he fell and hit the floor or something, because you left the path. So they would consider you lost, like a fallen angel. Like in some religions, they call you fallen angels or fallen whatever. And you know, those are the things I just didn't like. Why are you labeling people as fallen? They just decided they don't want to continue on this particular path because they don't agree with things. The things that are happening here, the way it's being pushed. You know, when you follow, let's say, something and whatever that resonates with you, but it's not against anybody, you're not condemning others, you're just living out of love for everybody, universal love for all beings. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You know, that's cool. I'm down with that in terms of spending time with people that are vibing in that way. But I'm not going to become a part of the organization like, oh, let me become a member. No, like, it's a friend you invite over, but not to live with you, but a friend you invite over from time to time because you get along with that friend.